Children of the Universe by Professor Dr. Ante Simonić. Chapter 4 Earth, a Beautiful Blue Planet. Today, we witness dramatic attempts at raising the awareness about Earth as a key factor of our culture. Even more so, some wish to stimulate an intuitive relationship of humans towards Earth, so not only do they glorify life on our planet, but also consider our planet a living being. We admire the beauty of the blue planet in the images from outer space, its forests, seas, rivers, and mountains, as well as fascinating forms on a subatomic and molecular level. We enjoy the abundance of beauty of animal and plant species and the magic of life and spiritual matters. Therefore, we are indeed concerned by the stories about various harmonized processes in the atmosphere, the oceans, and the soil, about balance in the biological world. We glorify Gaia as a living planetary being, which begs for ecological awareness and a highly spiritual approach. Chapter 4.1 Formation and Structure. Earth was formed out of a cloud of various gases and dust particles. Approximately 4.6 billion years ago, a colloidal suspension condensed and formed a planet. Due to the fact that the temperature of Earth's surface was several thousands of K, its atmosphere evaporated and the planet rapidly cooled down. Due to Earth's rotation, the heaviest elements accumulated in the core and the lighter ones closer to the surface. As the temperature of Earth decreased, the hard shell, the so-called lithosphere, was formed. It is about 10 to 70 kilometers thick, and it makes 1.5% of the total mass of the planet. Somewhat deeper is the layer called Earth's mantle. It makes up to 80% of the mass of our planet. Even closer to the center of Earth is Earth's core. It is composed mostly of iron and nickel with traces of silicates. It is believed that the temperature in the central area of the core is not higher than 5,000 K. Since the pressure is 3,060,000 atm, it is assumed that the matter within is extremely hard. Chapter 4.2 Geologic Eras and Periods. The history of Earth is divided into 4 basic eras, which are composed of different periods. The Precambrian era started 4.5 billion years ago, the Paleozoic about 3.0 billion years ago, the Mesozoic about 225 million years ago, and the Kenozoic started 75 million years ago. It took 1 billion years for life on Earth to be formed during the Paleozoic, and the next several billion years to develop in different forms. This explosion resulted in the creation of a large number of living beings. But with time and due to evolution processes, the scenery of life has significantly changed. In order to explain the formation of the current configuration of Earth's crust, I shall describe the main changes which took place during different periods after the Paleozoic. During the Triassic period, initial period of the Mesozoic, which lasted from 225 to 185 million years ago, movements accompanied by local elevation of parts of the continent above the sea level and a vivid volcanic activity took place. The regression and transgression of the sea took place. which resulted in changes in the development of plants and animals. The climate was mostly warm, and the level of humidity in different parts of Earth uneven. During the Jurassic period, the middle period of the Mesozoic, which lasted from 185 to 140 million years ago, the sea penetrated significantly into inland areas in different parts of Earth's crust. This resulted in the creation of an epicontinental sea above the flooded part of Gondwana. This is the period of volcanic activities and massing of sedimentary deposits in geosynclines. They were accompanied by orogenetic movements in Europe, America, and Asia. The climate was mostly warm around the Mediterranean, but cooler in the south and in the north of the planet. The vegetation was more abundant than in the Triassic period. At the end of the Cretaceous period, the final period of the Mesozoic, which lasted from 145 to 75 million years ago, land masses started to elevate from the sea, for example, in the Mediterranean and the Pacific, and the sea retreated. Volcanic activity was present in the Asia Minor, the Pyrenees, Chile, North America, and India. As far as the climate is concerned, the Mediterranean zone was warmer, while the areas closer to Earth's poles were cooler. The first mammals appeared. The Tertiary period, initial period of the Cenozoic, which lasted from 75 to 2 million years ago, is the period of gradual and significant paleogeographic and paleobiological changes. New mountain chains rose: the Alps, the Carpathians, the Dinarides, the Caucasus Mountains, the Pyrenees, the Apennines, the Himalayas, the Atlas Mountains, and the disposition of the sea and the land became similar to the one we know today. Significant fissure eruptions occurred in many parts of Africa, Europe, and other continents. The flora of the period was very abundant, and mammals replaced reptiles. Strepsirrhines and apes gradually develop. At the beginning of the Quaternary period, final period of the Cenozoic, which began 2 million years ago, a deep fault from Syria in the north to the Persian Gulf in the south formed. It continued over the Red Sea and reached to Lake Victoria in Africa. Lime sediments in the valley of the Euphrates and the Tigris forced it to decline and form a series of terraces stretching from the northwest to the southeast. It is the period when the early humans appears. Chapter 4.3 Ice Ages. During the Quaternary period, there were 4 ice ages of different lengths. The first ice age started 800,000 to 600,000 years ago. The second ice age started 500,000 years ago. The third ice age started 250,000 years ago. The fourth ice age started 120,000 years ago and ended 20,000 to 10,000 years BC. Ice ages are characterized by periods of prolonged and extreme cold. Large areas of Earth were covered in ice and snow. Large parts of North America, Europe, and Asia disappeared under thick deposits of ice. During periods of successive icings, drastic climate changes caused substantial changes in different life forms. Due to the fact that continental ice formed and later retreated, certain plant and animal species kept changing. Many animals disappeared while others adapted to the conditions of extreme cold. Ages were interspersed with long periods of favorable climate, and after the last ice age, the conditions for humans to reproduce and find their permanent habitat were created.